We've been out with India all day.
Happy.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true.
And it feels alright when they come and say to you, you're the only thing that makes us all believe. And it feels alright where the worlds collide. Manipulation stands to make us break.
What time you said was coming over you. You wish it upon a star. You wish it on a star. You are, you are, you are. You fight back, it's an all-out attack. It feels like I've been taken on the world's machine. Because I want it more than anyone can dream. You look back and it's all in the past. You tell me how you live by all the things you do. Well, you can be yourself, but maybe I'm not you.
And it feels alright when they come and say to you, you're the only thing that makes us all.
Good evening and welcome to the Three Amigos on NUFC Matters, the perfect way to kickstart your Newcastle United festive weekend. And Mitch and George are together.
We are indeed.
So, yep.
Good to see you, lads. Good to see you. Steve Hastie's on a family night out tonight, but there are three amigos, so here we are. And 90 minutes we'll give you tonight. We've all got things to be doing and places to go and people to see, but we've still got time to give you a live version of the show. Wow, the run continues, Mitch. Wonderful 3 points at Ipswich, 4 goals in the back of Ipswich's net. And then Aston Villa at home. History tells us that Newcastle do tend to beat Aston Villa at home at St James's Park in the Premier League. But those kind of records are there to be broken. You just need to look at Fulham at Chelsea yesterday. But Newcastle managed to get a wonderful 3 points, 3 goals. I think whether that man had been sent off or not, Newcastle would have still won that game. That's another 3 goals, another clean sheet. Fantastic result, Mitch.
Absolutely, you can't fault the way we played. There was a return to a little bit of shithousery and a little bit of being awkward and difficult to play against, making it difficult for them, pressurising them. There's certain things, we could have certainly had more. But you cannot complain with a 3-0 win against a team like Villa. The Ipswich game, once it got to 4, it could have been anything at one point. That's how dominant we were in that game. And with the Villa game, we managed to layer some additional quality on top of the press and the agitative and being awkward to play against. Superb opening goal. I'm still not sure how you can judge the deflection of Bruno into the back of the net as being a handball for me. We certainly should have at least one more. They talk about unnatural positions. I mean, when you're putting your arm like that to protect yourself, you're keeping it inside the width of your body. But I think I'm just being greedy. We put them away comfortably. One of the Villa lads I know over here has been telling me for the last 5 or 6 weeks they were in a false position, and the reason they were in the position they were in was their goalkeeper. And I think he made a couple of saves as well that, the guy might be Not the nicest character in football, but he's certainly a very, very good goalkeeper. And we tested him. And, when a goalkeeper of his quality just stands and watches a shot go into the back of the net, you know how good the shot is. And I think, we cannot fault that. Yeah, absolutely right. The run goes on. This is what we've been asking for. When we were down in the doldrums, this is why these discussions are not binary. It's not if you're not how in, you're how out, etc. What we wanted to see was somebody who was able to find what was going wrong and correct it. And I think the answers have been given to her. We've got now this combination of Tonali and Bruno, whereby Bruno seems to be coming out of his shell more, being given a little bit more freedom and enjoying that freedom. And Tonali's just like the conductor in an orchestra. He sits in that centre of the midfield. He seems to be able to anticipate how the play's going, break play down, and doing very, 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 very well indeed. And I think that's, one of the other questions we had was, can you find that combination and make it work? I think it's fair to say that he has.
No doubt about it. Bit of a change of position for you, George. The match was as cold as it has been over the last few weeks, but you were watching in warmer climates with the Dubai Mags.
Yes, and it was great. I mean, it's a beautiful setup they've got, and I don't know. I think I calculated about 150 in on a holiday day, which is great. And the wind the atmosphere up. They've got somebody who beats the top of an old oil drum, boom, boom, boom. Jody, the atmosphere is just mental, and it's really good. It's good atmosphere to watch the match in. There was one downer that one of the commentators on the particular feed happens to be Michael Bridges, and for some reason, Michael Bridges was desperate for Aston Villa to score. Desperate for Aston Villa to score. Couldn't see why that was a red card. I mean, I was thumping the table. Neil and his friends were laughing at me, I could tell, because I was getting so frustrated with it. But the fact is, they could do what they like. I agree with you. I don't think for 1 minute that sending off would have altered the result. In fact, I still think it would have been about 3+0, even if they'd had a full team out, because they covered their backs. I thought, again, like you, that Shah yesterday was back to his absolute best and covered everything, made moves forward dangerously, and they weren't sure whether to go to him, whether to leave him. No, it was all good. And then you'll recall that for weeks now I've been coon and billing and coon about Tonali. And he's starting to show why. I mean, he really is the complete footballer. And to think that he's only 24, my goodness, that's absolutely incredible. But there was so much good things going on, and Trippier obviously was in because of the illness to a fullback, and didn't let us down as always. He was there. Joe Linton was knocking people about like he does so nicely. Everybody give it a go. And of course, Gordon's goal, that first goal, you'd have to be, the goalkeeper would have been, even if he was 10 foot tall, he wouldn't have got near that. And then Joe Linton's, as Neil said, it was such a pearler. He didn't even make a move for it. He just stood and watched it go over his shoulder and into the top corner. So much to enjoy about that for Newcastle fans, and so much to enjoy for me, the atmosphere that I watched it in. Having spent the day, very kindly, one of Neil's friends put on a birthday party for me at his home in the morning from 12 o'clock midday, and Andy, and it just so happened that Andy's little boy was 1 on the same day, so it was a double birthday party. So it was lovely. I mean, I couldn't have had it any better. I've been very lucky that in the 83 years of life, every birthday I've had some sort of celebration, and that's really nice, really nice. So thanks to everybody, and thanks to everybody in the chat and all the good wishes I've had. It's really been touching. So we're back where we are. The next thing is that can we carry it on next week? You know, it's Manchester, and I can't see why not. In fact, I'm of the view now, if we could keep playing like that, with very few people that could worry you. Only the very top select few that could even trouble you, in my opinion, because that's a team that's playing so full of confidence. Well, I was going to eat humble pie slightly. I think you'll recall when we realised Hope was out, I was banging the drum for our Greek goalkeeper and not very happy about Dubravka. Well, Martin Dubravka has showed that he still is a talented goalkeeper, and he saved from the free kick was, you know, he smacked away my comments about weak hands, and his distribution with his feet is so much better than Pope's. You begin to wonder, well, what we're going to see next from Pope, because it's time somebody did something about his distribution. But Dubravka's distribution, the speed at which he was releasing the ball as well was quite important, and all added to the game. So all round a fantastic day, fantastic weekend for me, Steve, and a fantastic one for Newcastle United. The other slight irritant is that I've seen Shearer's remarks on Match of the Day about the red card.
Well, let's talk about that, George, and then I'll give Mitch a chance to answer about, because I mean, yeah, the red card obviously for me didn't turn the game.
No.
Not in a million years. I think Newcastle were the dominant team anyway. But you know, we saw the foul back. I did listen to Shearer on Match of the Day, and Gary Lineker, who was loaded with cold. And to be honest, I can see both sides of it. It's whether you thought there was intent, and it's whether you thought that picture up above tells it tells the story in a lot of ways. But then when you watch it from different angles in slow motion, you can give a case for the defence that he slipped with one foot, he went down, he didn't stamp, he didn't go down and stamp on his back. So some people say that Shaw tangled his feet and was very clever and got the foul in before Duran did, which then prompted that reaction. Of course, Duran had already been mouthing off at his own players, as he does apparently, when he didn't get a chance to take the free kick. And then we saw Duran in full effect, where he looked quite calm and perturbed when he got sent off, but then went to the sidelines and booted the water bottle onto the middle of the pitch, just missing Joe Linton. So, I mean, it's such a tough one. It's a tough thing. And the decision had been made by the referee. And in this situation, this is where the rules are always very strange. You know, Mitch has already mentioned the handball one, for instance. You know, had a defender handballed the ball like Bruno did at the other end, it would have been a penalty. At the other end, when it's Bruno scoring a goal, he actually has his back, not almost back to goal when it hits him and it goes in. But let's stay on the sending off. I mean, I watched it in real time. I was at the opposite end of the ground, and my first thoughts were it's a yellow card. I didn't think it was a red. Obviously, when I saw the replays, I thought, well, yeah, it's a red card. It's serious foul play, but it's down to interpretation. Mitch, give us your opinion on that first, because I mean, I looked at that time and time again, and when I heard Alan Shearer, listen, Alan Shearer can be wrong just as the next man is, but Keith Hackett's a former professional referee, and I believe he said it definitely, was a red card.
Yeah,
red all day long. So I've got to be honest, in this particular situation, I'm going to disagree with Alan. I still think, having seen the replays, I think it was a red card. I can't disagree with the decision. What about you, Mitch?
I think Alan's doing what Michael Bridges was doing on our commentary.
Yeah.
Trying very hard to be overly fair.
Right, okay.
To remove that, oh, well, you're Geordie and you're going to say that out of the equation. I'm sorry. Michael Bridges was winding us up all afternoon, because at times it was almost like he was desperate for Villa to score. And I'm sure that's this. I don't want to be accused of being biased, so I'm going to go too far the other way. With regard to the sending off, if it was the other way around, would you feel lucky if it was one of our players staying on the pitch? Yes. It's clear from other incidents this season that Duran has that in him. And his little, booting the water bottle and his reaction afterwards and the reaction of the other Villa players tells you that. The next thing's reaction of players. Dubravka ran about 20 yards to get involved. And players know when a player's gone out to do someone. And if Dubravka wasn't sure that Duran had gone out to do something there, why is he getting involved by running 20 yards to come over? That, again, swings it another way for me. But if you look at it, there's one angle that's quite clear. He makes a second motion with his foot, with his heel, to take those studs further up Shaw's back for me. And I think he knows exactly what he's doing. And I struggle, given that the referee has one look at it and makes a decision. The other phrase I would use, and I've used this before, he's given the referee a decision to make. If you give that referee a decision to make like that, and it goes against you, you've only got yourself to blame. I do believe, and I think that's correct, that there is a second movement of his foot, and it's that second movement that has the degree of intent in it. It isn't a stamp. It's actually something quite worse. Because if you're going to drag studs up somebody's back, there's a good chance you're going to leave a little tram line somewhere. And as I said, if there was no intent in it, why did Dubravka run 20 yards to be the first person involved in it? He's had a very clear view of it. And also, if you look at the reaction of our fans directly behind it, you can see them on the camera. There's a little patch of our fans that are looking probably with the same view that Dubravka had. And their immediate reaction was quite clear. And if it's the other way around, and if that was one of our players, and he didn't get a red card, I would feel very, very lucky.
Yeah. Okay, George. I mean, I think I know what you're going to say, but give us your views. Lots of views in the comments.
Yeah, well, it's for once VAR showed enough angles for you to be able to make your own mind up. But what the bit that gets me is with the two so-called professionals, Bridges and Shearer, having their view and thinking it was slightly harsh in some ways, is my view is about a number of things. It's professionals trying to do a little bit of protection for their own profession. Because there's other things that Alan has opinions on and other professional players that irritate me. And one of them is when they're climbing for a head the ball, they use their arms to get more height. What tripe. What tripe. The hours I've spent with hundreds of other lads practicing how to jump for headers without using your arms, because in those days, you lifted your arms up past your waist and it was a foul. You didn't have to hear anybody. You just had to lift them up. Nowadays, they're looking for an excuse for why people get broken noses and bloody noses. And that's part of the culture that Alan and other professionals, in my view, have populated to get people to think that these things are right. They're becoming right simply because of practice and the fact that the referees are different and apply the rules differently. But I've got dozens of pictures, and you've seen some of them, Steve, of great headers of the ball. Even Wyn Davies, when he was heading for Newcastle, with his arms down beside his side, not up near the centre half's face or head or anything like that. The other bit of it is that had that foot, those studs, gone just another couple of inches higher, Shaw could have had a hole in the back of his head, never mind his back. And that's where it was going. So I'm beggars belief to me to say, well, it's intent. I got no doubt that when he did that, he knew exactly what he was doing. His manager knew exactly what he was doing, because he's claiming, well, it's because of his reputation. That's why he got sent off. Well, how has he got a reputation? Because he's careless. And the other bit of it is, when he went off and he kicked that ball, he should have had another bloody red card for me for kicking that bottle, rather, those water bottles onto the pitch. I mean, how much dissent is that?
Yeah.
And the whole way through the game, he was only on 20 minutes. But during that time, he was at the referee for every decision, as was the Aston Villa captain. Now, I thought that was supposed to be stopped this season. And it went on. And it just all added up to the drama that was the sending off, and why I think so many of our players were incensed, because they're so sharp. And I'm delighted that Shaw did carry on, because he was having a stormer. But that could have been serious injury. And, yeah.
And the Villa fans saying, different players are judged differently. Yeah, we know that. We had John Joe Shelby in our squad for long enough.
Aye.
The amount of times we saw players make a challenge, and the words out of our mouths were, well, if that was John Joe Shelby, that would have been a yellow. And I'm talking about our own players as well as opposition players. We know players with reputation. What Joey Barton in my bloody squad for long enough as well. We know certain players come into games with different standards placed on them, because referees are told to watch out for them, and they get that reputation. And I do think they are. That's the human element of refereeing. And that's what VAR, etc., was supposed to sort of even out a little bit, yes. But actually hasn't at all. But, that's always been part of the game, that players come into a game sometimes with a reputation, and that the referee's got one eye on them harder than everybody else, because we saw it with John Joe Shelby. But equally, he used to make some bloody reckless and stupid challenges where you're saying, look, you're going to be judged differently, so what the hell are you diving into that challenge for? And that's what the managers... It's very difficult with a player like Duran. He's one of these ones who I suspect has to play angry to get the best out of him. And if you take that away, he's not the same player. And so it goes with that territory. The other thing I'm thinking about as well is, if you look at his reaction after the challenge is made, and the way he kind of looks up and he looks straight at the ref, and there's a little bit of that, oh shit, have I really just done that? He probably has realised, oh hell, I've dropped myself in it here. I just can't believe anybody watching that who's a football fan can look at that and say it's absolutely 100% not a red card. Because I think anybody who supports a team, if that was your player on the ground and the opposition player doing that, you would be screaming for a red.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, I think, and everybody in the chat more or less agrees with this as well. It's such a typical one. For an Aston Villa Newcastle game, there's always something controversial in there. And football cannabis, it was a red. It was given. Why is this discussion? But this is what happens, isn't it? Social media becomes the big thing, and everybody seems to be talking about it. And it fills column inches, it fills documentaries, TV shows. Everyone's talking about it. But it was a red card. And isn't
that just the beauty of football and being a fan, though? That we can discuss it and have our opinion about it. That's.
I've just seen some of the most amazing excuses.
Yeah.
Trotted out by Villa fans on social media today when I've dipped in and out of it, and they'd say, "Yes, I understand you can't break the laws of physics. To me, best of knowledge, is not some sort of meditation guru and can't levitate. I totally accept that. If you're going to fall over, you've got to put your feet somewhere. But again." You don't have to put your feet down with a double movement of your heel, which takes the studs up somebody's back. I get the argument that says yes, his left foot did probably come under as he landed on it, but again, I would defy him to do that another 200 times with zero intent and make the same movements that he made. And I think that's for me, that plus the reaction immediately of Dubravka, that was the killer for me.
And the other thing I would wanted to add is that when you look at it again, I think Shaw could have made a lot more than that than he did. You know, he was obviously in pain and could have rolled and rolled and rolled like they do, but he didn't. He just waited till he got his treatment, and I thought that was very fair for him as well.
Okay, Mozza says, what's your thoughts on JT in the tunnel? Jason Tindall, of course, didn't come out for the second half, and Graham Jones was quite a good addition. But yeah, Mitch, it was it was one of those that started to siphon around, go around the stadium. Hold on a minute, where's Jason Tindall? But yeah, Mad Dog went on the rampage, and according to certain media reports, the Chronicle in particular, saying it was a 15-20 man brawl. I mean,
Eddie was asked that after the match, and somebody just said it was described as a 20-man brawl, and I think his reply was something like, "Yes, I think you could say that." Look, these things happen in football. They happen probably more often than we realise. And again, that's back to our shithousery best. If you look at the little exchange that I saw on social media between Emery and Tindall shushing him towards half time, when Emery was obviously starting to lose his shit a little bit, and then that's obviously continued as the players and the staff have gone into the tunnel. Whatever's then happened in the tunnel, the two fall guys have been Tindall and one of Villa's analysts. Yeah, come up in a warm hoodie afterwards. That's just fantastic, really. But
with his face and Eddie Howe's face on, which obviously was a Christmas present. Brilliant. Yes.
Suspect that's been a secret Santa from somebody in the club. But either way, I'm not unhappy to see a degree of unity, players, staff, and everybody when it comes to holding our own. We're not going to be pushed over. We take that. Imagine if that was Arsenal. Arteta would be he'd be in counselling for the rest of the week. If that had been against Arsenal, Arteta would be getting bloody therapy and medication. It seems to me like both clubs have just sort of put everything to bed between them and said, right, move on to the next game, and that's just football. Whether the FA views it the same way, who knows? It's the kind of thing, certainly they'll want to have it. It's going to depend on what the referee puts in his report, I guess, at the end of the day. That's one thing that still remains at all levels of football. If it goes in the referee's report, the FA have to instigate some sort of investigation, which I guess, because there's been red cards shown, that'll be the case. But I'm not unhappy about it, because there's a degree of unity, there's a degree of the shithousery back. That's what we thrived on. We thrived on it in the season we avoided relegation. We thrived on it when we got into the Champions League spot. And you're quite right. His comment about we're here to compete, we're not here to make friends. And that's modern football. Nobody gives a monkeys. There's no little asterisk goes in the column against, say, Newcastle won, Arsenal nil, asterisk, but the ball might have been over the line. That doesn't happen. It's all about the results and showing a united front. And so if our players and staff are prepared to stand, toe to toe on a black and white line, happy days. That's a happy camp. And again, something we were asking questions about a few weeks ago. What's going on? I want to see this sorted out. Fine. Happy with that.
All sorted, yeah, George. It was good to see. There is a bit of unity. I mean, when Gordon scored that first goal, and the team celebrating together, and but yeah, I mean, in those kind of incidents that happen all the time in football,
and they've started running to the sideline and talking to the staff as well when they score and that sort of thing, which I find absolutely brilliant. But the only other thing I'd say about it is that from the minute Gordon's goal went in, every decision after that, Emery was twittering on to the fourth official. every single decision. Why is this? Why is not that? You could see what he was saying. And bear in mind, he's only just come back off a touchline ban himself because he got over anxious against in a game they won, actually, I think the Manchester City game. And so he's no angel himself. But the picture of Tyndall shushing him just before half time must have really got under his skin and some of his staff as well. And they carried it down into the tunnel. And I agree with you, Neil. It shows an element of togetherness, which I applaud as well. It's part of looking after your mates, and that's a bit of the football that sometimes gets forgotten. And as regards Neil saying about it doesn't say Newcastle won, Arsenal 0, but the ball went over the line. There are a group of people who will remember that, and they're Arsenal fans, because every time there's anything on, one of them will come out with, that ball wasn't over the line, you know. So they'll remember it forever, thank God. But no, it's something and nothing, and part of the modern game. But from a Newcastle point of view, the togetherness it shows is back. Because even I, as you know, a few weeks ago was questioning. I mean, against Brentford, Stu and I had looked at the team getting off the team bus. It really did concern us that they looked so down. You know, they weren't even in a group. Murphy and Miggy weren't laughing. They were just walking on their own without a smile. Well, I bet they've all got smiles on their face this weekend after the win and after Jason stuck up for them.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Couple of comments about different players, and as always, this young lad gets a shout out. Sean says, shout out for young Hall. The boy's amazing. Isaac, Tonali, Gordon, Bruno, J7 will always take the plaudits, but for me, this kid has the biggest ceilings. What's your thoughts?
Yeah.
We've discussed him, Mitch, on many shows since the start of the season. We discussed him last season, but he wasn't getting as much of a run out, and we were asking why. But he's made that left back berth his own now, and he has been brilliant. And you know that he could play midfield if needed as well. He's not a one trick pony. But I mean, let's broaden it a bit. Would you? Who was your man of the match yesterday? Mine was. I thought Fabian Shaw was exceptional yesterday, but I thought Tonali pushed him. You see, Lewis Hall, for me, Sean, I've given him man of the match quite a few times this season. He's doing what I expect him to do. He's turning up. He's putting a shift in, and he's brilliant. But yeah, I thought Shaw was exceptional yesterday, and he has struggled in recent weeks, which we've said on here, Mitch.
Yeah, absolutely. You make a case for a number of people. I think I'd go Tonali because that was. He was superb in the cup against Brentford. He was superb at Ipswich. But this is somebody that generally is being talked about as a Champions League contender again this season. And he made their midfield look ordinary yesterday. He conducted everything from midfield. He predicted where they were going to attack. He closed things down. He was first to so many 50-50 balls. He just conducted everything beautifully. With regards to Hall, fully enough, this was a conversation we had at half time with some of the lads and lasses at the Dubai Mags. We are of the opinion we've had Chelsea's pants down for the fee we paid for him now. Sort of 2 seasons on, that looks like chicken feed. He's in a position right now, he could lock down the left back position in England for the foreseeable. And what I love about him in our team at left fullback is the options he gives beyond Gordon. When he overlaps with Gordon, he's an attacking threat. And some of the balls he's started putting into the box now, he's changing the way he's delivering things. He first was just firing it across without really looking. And then he went through a phase where he wanted to float everything in. Now he's mixing it up. And you don't know what he's going to do. And whether he's playing more on instinct or whether that's more being coached into him, don't know. To be honest with you, don't care. We're benefiting from it. And I think that's what's impressed me more about him is his ability to back Gordon up as an attacking threat. But defensively, he sometimes doesn't have to make a tackle because his positional sense has become far better. That's one of the things that has improved. And yeah, we were of the opinion at half-time yesterday we've had Chelsea's pants down for the fee we paid for him, and with the benefit of hindsight, because hindsight always makes you look very clever.
Yeah, I've got it. Yeah, go on, mate.
And as Neil reminded me at the start of this, that was not too long ago, everybody was saying Eddie won't play him, Eddie won't do this, he's going back to Chelsea, he's not going to be here, and all the rest of it. And Eddie had to defend all of that. And now we're seeing why. That Eddie wanted him right in his way, in Newcastle's way. Now, not only is he playing well, he's now playing with composure. When he first got in, he was happy to play the save ball and the tap back to the goalkeeper and the sideways to the centre back and down the line to the winger. Not now. When a ball comes at height, he doesn't always head it. He's now got the confidence to chest it, play it down his thigh to his foot, and play a decent ball, sometimes a very dangerous ball. He's getting involved now in the set pieces. He's got the confidence to go to get involved in taking set pieces and being able to say to some of the more experienced people, leave it to me, I'll do this one. You can see it out on the pitch. And that's fantastic. And it goes to what you lads have been saying for a couple of years. You trust the process. Well, I think we trusted the process, and Haaland, we're getting rewarded, as Neil says, absolutely superb, and gets better every time he puts his boots on. We have the potential to have both England fullbacks for many years if Tuchel picks them. And I can't see why he wouldn't, because he introduced Hall to Premier League football when he was at Chelsea. So he knows enough about them. But I think the other one could be involved equally. So we're in a good place with fullbacks at the moment. And long may it continue. As the man of the match, well, I struggled to get past Tonali. I'd mind admitting that, because there's if you want a laugh and a cheer up about Tonali, if you find some Italian YouTubes or bits of movie of playing for Italy and listen to the Italian commentary where they talk about the Newcastle Machina, the Newcastle machine. It's amazing. And he just, even in a full international company, he's the star. And we've got the benefit of that. And I think that's right. And yesterday, whether it was going forward and playing dangerous balls, which he did several times, splitting their defence, their two centre-halves with the ball, or he was at the back, shepherding balls out to help his full-backs and his centre-backs. He was there and he's got the legs to do it. That's the amazing thing. So I'd give it to Tonali, but just by a shade. I've got to say, I thought Shaw, like you, was back to his superb best. And if I was praying for his free kick to go in, because that would have put the icing on the cake and probably would have given man of the match. And then Lewis Hall. And isn't it wonderful to be sitting here thinking, man of the match, and we're talking about 3, maybe 4 players it could be in our team, and that's good stuff. Yeah, that really is great. So long may it continue. But I just shared it for Tonali.
Yeah, it was good to see Matt Target back, Sean. He's been through the mill injuries and obviously illness. He's not had the best of times, but came on, didn't look out of place. And Kieran Trippier getting mentioned by Mark Byers. His Trippier was superb considering his lack of goal time. But yeah, all in all, fantastic performance yesterday. And onwards and upwards. Just want to say Merry Christmas to you, Schnarp, and he says, thanks for another year of brilliant content. Can you give a shout out to my mate Steve Hamilton? We go to the match every week and we always have a chat about the latest 3 Amigos. How are the lads? Big shout out to Steve Hamilton. Hope you're well, and thank you for supporting the show.
Thank
Mark,
you, lads. Thank you.
Yeah, Mark and Tom Dixon both asked the same question. Does Pope get straight back in? I mean, it's a tough one, isn't it? And that's why Eddie Howe gets paid the money that he does. Ben Porter asked the question as well, even an old question with the lads. Would you keep Dubravka in goal? Once Pope returns, we seem to look a lot more comfortable with playing out from the back, which is the way Howe seems to want to play. Bearing in mind 12 months ago, or maybe a slightly more, when he came in and Pope was missing, he was dreadful. He really was. He looked as if he'd lost all sense of his, reflexes, and we were conceding goals in an alarming fashion, and everything was pointed towards Dubravka. But maybe it was the way we set up. Maybe I should eat some humble pie. Maybe it's a complete disservice I was doing. But he looks like a different goalkeeper.
The last time he had a run of games, he had poppadom wrists and crisp packet hands.
Yeah.
Just looked fragile, and he looked nervy every time a cross come into the box, particularly the corners, as if he had somebody standing over the top of him. He's a very different player. And no, why should Pope come in automatically? You've got somebody who's keeping clean sheets and looking comfortable, and the defence looks comfortable with him, and they're quite right. His distribution and his speed of release yesterday was quite impressive. And so we always talk about you should reward players when they're doing well. And this is a classic example. Should he just be jettisoned? Or is it nice to have a bit of healthy competition?
Okay, what's your thoughts, George?
Well, as you know, I think the last time he came in, I was quite critical for the same reasons Neil said, because he was letting some howlers in, particularly with soft hands and soft wrists, and I thought he was on his way. I thought, to be honest, I thought he would get transferred very quickly after some of those games. But you can only go on what the bloke's doing on the pitch, and Eddie Howe sets store on people doing what he asks them to do, and they get the chance to stay. Well, since he's come back in, this time he's been superb. That's the only word I can use. He's yesterday, that free kick 6 months ago, that could have been a goal because of his what Neil calls crisp packet hands. So I think it would be harsh on Dubravka if Pope just said, "Oh, I'm here, boss," and got straight back in. I think he should be made to play for it, and that's no bad thing in my view. Competition for places all around, and we're not short of goalkeepers. There's plenty of competition, 5 of them. But no, I think it would be harsh if he just walked straight back in. I really do. And Dubravka's at the moment doing the job and doing it very effectively. And I agree with Neil. His distribution and the speed of his distribution, his release, is quite important and has been important in the games we've played. I mean, a couple of times he's seen a quick release down the left to Gordon from his hands, and within seconds we've gone from our goal to hammering one at Brentford's goal. That's all good stuff. And yeah, I think it would be harsh to take him out straight away if Pope was fit.
Yeah, sounds like Dubravka could be away in January. Lots of people saying that, and I mean that has been the story, the rumour flying around. Of course, the January transfer window opens in less than a week. So, whether he does go to Saudi or whether he doesn't will be interesting, and we will wait and see. Okay, we're only doing 90 minutes tonight. We're still in festive mode, as I'm sure you lot are. So we'll have a quick ad break. We'll be back after this.
A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find them at their website, skipsandbins.com. Contact them by email, www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. You can find them at their website, mrvickys.co.uk. Email info@mrvickys.co.uk or telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to United Group Travel, our fanzine sponsors. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. 2024 tours, 2 crew driver and courier, local family company, 3-star plus quality hotels and no interchanges. All excursions included. Their website, unitedgrouptravel.com. Email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com. Telephone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. 2024 Travel and Tourism Award winners. Thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the technical side of things. You can find them at their website, media-arts.co.uk. Our podcast is now available on Sport Social Podcast Network. You can also find us on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast providers. If you want to support the show, hit the thumb up under the video, and that likes the video. Click share to share to your other social media, and hit the subscribe button. We do 7 shows a week. Or hit the join button if you want to financially support us. It costs $1.99 a month. Some dates for your diary. The NUFC Matters Christmas party is in aid of Newcastle Dog and Cat Shelter. Tickets £10 from newcastlelegends.com. The event takes place Saturday, 28th of December, 7 till 11 at the Tyneside Irish Centre. The Longstands are making a reunion in aid of Newcastle Dog and Cat Shelter Saturday, January the 4th at the Clooney. Tickets are £15 from the Clooney venue or newcastlelegends.com. Peter Beardsley will be at the Tyneside Irish Centre on January the 10th. Tickets available from Woucher or from newcastlelegends.com. And an evening with the Entertainers, 24th of January. Box office number 0191 243 1171 or website Tyne Theatre and Opera House.uk. The Lee Clark event is now taking place at the Tyneside Irish Centre on the 31st of January. Tickets available from Woucher. And an afternoon with Sir Les Ferdinand takes place the 6th of April 2025, 12 till 4 at the O2 City Hall in Newcastle. Tickets for that from ticketmaster.co.uk. We have limited fanzine subscriptions available. Go to the website newcastlelegends.com to order yours today. And Will Scott's book is also available from the same website, as well as the Backpage Shop, Waterstones, and W.H. Smith's.
Okay, welcome back to NUFC Matters, the 3 Amigos. 45 minutes left. Chris Cooper said, question to Steve and the lads. We play Spurs, Manchester United next 2 games. How many players would you and the lads take out of either team that would make ours better? That's a good question, that, Chris. I've got to be honest, not many. I would take Maddison out of Spurs. I think anybody watching this show knows that I would take Maddison. I wanted Maddison before he went to Spurs. I would still take Maddison now. I still think he would fit into our team nicely. Other than that, let's think. Struggling, really. Manchester United. I honestly struggle. Fernandes is a good player. I'm delighted he's injured, suspended, for for our game. Hoyland, maybe. How could probably get something out of Hoyland, because we're desperate for people who can attack and score goals. But I think Maddison from Spurs. I'm just going to say 2. 1 from each team at this moment in time. Back in the day, Harry Maguire, I thought was a decent centre half. I think he's past his sell-by date now. I know a lot of people disagree with me on that. Odegaard, possibly, as well as another one. But I'm struggling because I don't think they've got great squads anymore. But that's mine. Who wants to go first? Mitch, George?
Okay. Out of Spurs, Johnson on the right would give her another option. Is he that much better than what we've got? Probably not much, but he's younger and malleable. Kulvaluski, possibly. And the one midfielder I think gets a lot of criticism that they have, who I thought was one of the few players that come out with a bit of credit after we thumped them the other year, was Basuma in midfield. And I think he gets a lot of criticism off the Spurs fans, and I think he's a lot better than he's given credit for. Man United at the minute are a car crash. They're a car crash of a squad. They're a car crash of a club. And I can't think of a player that I get introduced to our squad from them that would have the quality and the attitude. I find Rashford overrated. Bruno Fernandes is a he's a quality player, but what an absolute loss he is, and I wouldn't thank you for it. And after that, you sort of, I'm not convinced that there's as much quality as people would have you believe in that squad. And I'd stick with our lads.
George?
Yeah, tough one. Good question. 2 or 3 months ago, and I'd have been like you, and I'd have said Maddison now, because I wanted Maddison when he was available for us, but he chose to go there. I've seen him twice at St James's Park, and by the time the match was over, I was saying I'm glad we didn't have him, because once they went down, particularly when we thrashed them and they went 2-0 down, he disappeared from the game, and we don't need players like that. We've got enough to keep busy anyway. So, and the fact that our midfield's so strong at the moment. I mean, we're being waxing lyrical about Bruno and Tonali and J7. We haven't mentioned the young one that's back now, Lewis Miley. I mean, I don't know if anybody's noticed, but he's about three inches wider at his shoulders than he was when he went off, and his thighs are much stronger as well. So we've suddenly got a monster on my books, and I'm glad about that, because I've been twittering on since he got involved with the first team how I would like to see them developing. Well, if they've put a yard of pace in there as well as all that muscle, we've got a monster on our hands, and that would be great. So I wouldn't want anybody to come in to upset that balance. So, but it hadn't been earlier, Steve, I'd agree with you. Madison's the only one at Spurs I would have got, except for the Slav that Neil mentioned, Koslevsky. He looks a dangerous player when he's in front of goal and just behind the number 9, and he's the sort of man who might give Isak a bit of relief, take a bit of the weight off Isak, which is something we might need. Manchester United, well, they're in such a mess. It's difficult to go from one to the outside. The only player that's excited me in this season is probably the youngest one of the lot. That's the young kid that plays on the right wing and won the match against Manchester City for them, whose name escapes me now, Jude or whatever his name is. I would take a risk on him. But the others, I mean, the guy who's just been sent off, the captain, Fernandes, brilliant player on his day, but obviously somebody who's, if you like his touch paper, he just explodes. And I can't help but wonder what somebody like that's like in the dressing room, because one of their problems is clearly what's happening in the dressing room, and he's one of the senior professionals. Don't want any of that at St James's Park, please. So I'd struggle to find, other than the young kid who looks like he's going to be a star, to bolster our right side, our right wing position. I would take a chance on him if we could get him. 6 months, Radford would have been a shoe-in, but one thing is being ignored by managers, and obviously now Radcliffe's obviously decided he's the highest wage earner, so he's got to go. Well, that's not the way to buy people. Don't want any of that at St James's Park either. So one from each, but both very tentative, Steve, I've got to say. Very tentative.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it? A while ago, we probably would have been looking at that and saying, no, we'll take X, Y, and Z. But
Absolutely.
Unbelievable, really, to think how far we've come in such a short space of time. Kobe Mainoo is a suggestion. Ahmad's another one who keeps getting a mention as well. Some people saying Rashford, other people saying no.
I'd take Ahmad just to Mackham's up, because they have him pinned as their lad still.
Yeah.
Yes.
That would crucify them.
I think that's the name I was looking for. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. Okay, another question from Gary Milliken. Good evening, Gary. Question for the panel. How many players short are Newcastle of challenging for major honours?
3.
3? Do you want to embellish on that? Positional?
Goalkeeper, a centre-back to partner Botman in the longer term, and additional quality on the right wing.
George, have you anything to add to that?
If I was gonna be greedy, another centre forward who's fit more than
Isaac.
more,
Isaac or Wilson?
Wilson, sorry, who's fit more than Wilson is to back up Isaac. But 3 or 4.
Was going to say 3 as well. In the first 2, I would agree with Neil. Our centre backs are getting a bit long in the tooth. It would be nice to have another youthful one to go alongside Botman for a while. And the goalkeeping situation, although we've been praising Dubravka, it's not a happy position. We know it's not. So it would be nice to make a firm choice there. And my third choice wouldn't be the right wing. It would be the last thing Neil said. It would be somebody to support Isaac. Either lead the line as a proper number 9, or as a very, very clever behind Isaac, supporting him and taking some of the weight off him. And so we can say thank you and goodbye to Wilson in the summer. But that would be me at 3. I think that would do me.
Yeah, I'd agree with you, lads. There's nothing I would add to that. And you know, it's a long-term game for Newcastle. It's definitely a long-term game. It's you know, we've seen a frugal transfer window or 2. Newcastle will splash the cash in the next 2 windows, I would imagine, and we'll probably do it wisely. So it will be interesting to see. And by all accounts, I haven't seen it, but I think Yasser Al-Rumayyan has been quoted again as saying that, you know, the intention of, you know, PIF and the owners is to have Newcastle United as number 1. So nice to hear that they're still very interested, because I know a lot of people in the chat kept, you know, asking the question, especially on a Sunday at the professionals, you know, are they still interested? But yeah, of course they are. They're not. This is a long-term plan. I think we've been quoted on here a few times now, especially when the takeover went through, you know, Mitch and Stu in particular, saying that, you know, they're working towards 2030 in Saudi, and, you know, Newcastle United is a big part of that. So, you know, investment in the area was also a key. You know, we're looking at the airport now and seeing talk about that. So there's lots of things happening, and it'll just take time. You know, we've just got to, we're all going to have ups and downs. We're all going to feel disappointed at times. We're all still going to have that, you know, that feeling of negativity when, you know, maybe the results don't go for us in over a couple of games. But, you know, we're on the upward trajectory, whereas, you know, some of the bigger names, some of the red cartel are on the downward trajectory, and they've got to get used to it, because that's the way it's going to be. But it's it's an interesting time to be a Newcastle United fan, that's for certain. Lee G, he also asked a question. He says, question with the Amigos: if you could sign a young Demba Ba, Papa Cisse, Johan Cabaye, or Hatton Ben Arfa in January, who would you sign? What a question, Lee.
Wow.
Well, for me personally, I would go for a Demba Ba. If I can have one of each, I'd have a Demba Ba, please, and I would have a Johan Cabaye. That would be my 2. Mitch,
Given what we need at the moment, a young Demba Ba would fit the bill beautifully. I think one aspect of his game that was absolutely underrated was his ability to drop in behind the centre forward and hold the ball up and play through balls. And I think Isaac would eat and drink all day off that. I think he'd slot in beautifully, but also give you another option up top. But gosh, you couldn't go far wrong with a young version of any of them. I'd even take Ben Arfa's idiosyncrasies, because what comes with those idiosyncrasies are glorious moments and the ability to do the unexpected, which I will always give a little bit of leeway to when somebody has that kind of ridiculous class in their locker. But yeah, I'm with you. Would be a young Demba Ba for me with a fully fit knee.
Would you go for a Cabaye or a Hatton Ben Arfa?
Oh, the solidity and the certainty of a Cabaye in terms of regular performances. However, what comes with him, he did refuse to play once, and that always goes against him for me. Whereas Hatton Ben Arfa was a worky ticket and spent too much time in curry houses and Greg's. However, could turn a game with a moment of sheer, unadulterated football brilliance. And I'm always willing to forgive that a little bit. So if it was to go with Demba Ba, with the squad we have right now, I think I would take a chance on a young Ben Arthur. Because I think Eddie could probably get the best out of somebody like that.
Exactly.
George, who are you going for?
Demba Ba's a good shout from you two, and I think people who've heard me on here before know my passion for Adam Ben Arfa. What I really would love to see, Adam Ben Arfa with a manager that has this kind of understanding that Eddie Howe's got, and see what comes of that. Because I think he would develop even more. He nearly got it he would hung around for Bobby Robson, because I think Bobby could have probably put him right. And he got all that rubbish off Pardew, being slated for being overweight, when what had happened was the kid had gone back and trained, and he'd put a couple of kilos on, but it was all muscle. It wasn't overweight fat. It was muscle, and all of those things he's put up with. But I haven't talked about Eddie and trust the process. I would love to see a young Hatem Ben Arfa nurtured by somebody like Eddie Howe, and watch his silky skills being transferred into the team. But Demba Ba, from a goal scoring point of view, you can't go past him if you're offered him. It would be magic, absolutely magic. And again, look at what Isaac would probably get out of having Demba Ba alongside him as well, and the young Danish kid as well.
Yeah,
they would get a lot out of that, a lot.
Yeah, I think my only, I get it where you're coming from with regards to, Howe and Hatem Ben Arfa. I just think he didn't manage to find that recipe with ASM. So, I'm not sure whether he can control those kind of players.
From the understanding that we have from various places, it wasn't for the lack of trying.
Yeah, exactly. But maybe he would have the same. Some of these players,
100%, the club and Eddie could have dropped ASM in it 3, 4, or 5 times.
Yeah.
Over things that would have finished him, and they didn't. That for me is all on ASM. And so you've got to come to a point where you've got to say, I'm flogging a dead horse here. This isn't going to change. And I think he was given more than enough rope, and instead of climbing out with the pit, he hung himself with it. So, and I think that would be a decision for Hatem Ben Arfa to make. A young Hatem Ben Arfa with the right guidance. You've got to look at the group of players he came through Clairefontaine with in France. And there was a point in time when he was around about 17, 18, 19 year old, where they were saying, we've got a lad here who's going to have the world at his feet. And for one reason or another, he went off the rails and became this enfant terrible. The very definition thereof, really. We were lucky to get some blissful moments out of him, but we saw what came with the price on the ticket. But the right mentor and the right person, maybe he would have listened. Maybe he would have changed certain things. And is Eddie the right person for that? Well, like I say, I think my understanding of the ASM situation, if Eddie had wanted to push him under the bus at any moment in time, there was plenty there, particularly during the COVID period, who ASM could have been royally chucked under the biggest bloody bus in Newcastle, but they chose not to. And that's managing a situation and managing a player properly, if you ask me.
Paul says, if we're asking impossible questions, who plays the creative midfield role? Cabaye, Bruno, or Beardsley, Mitch?
Well, look, like everybody knows my feelings about Peter, and playing Peter in a creative midfield role and just giving him the free rein to do what the hell he wanted with the football. I think he'd go toe to toe with anybody. And bearing in mind he was a player who repeatedly has stated who got as much joy out of creating goals as he did as scoring goals. God, how many goals could he create in our bloody team at the moment?
A midfield pair of Tadali and Beardsley. Oh my God, I'd be in heaven, Steve. I'd be in heaven. Yeah, I mean, when you mention creative midfielders, you're not just mentioning their creativeness. Both of those players are, in modern terms, called box to box, and Peter was that. You know, he could pick the ball up in our penalty area, and in a few strides, he was in the opposition's penalty area. And Tonali's the same. Tonali's got the pace to do that and the skill to do that. God, if they were together in the same team, it would be just unbelievable. We could book our tickets for the Champions League final now if we had them both. That's how good I think that is. And yeah, I mean, the joy that Peter's given, and we're starting to get it out of Sandro Tonali, is just unparalleled. And we're very fortunate to have had both, yeah.
Safe travels to Jules. She'll be up for the NUFC Matters Christmas do. Going to be there with Nobby Solano and Joe Allen. So get yourself along if you can tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Tickets still on the website if you want to book in advance. Sonny, he says, if Mitchell was to manage to ship out players like Target, Dubravka, Hayden, Miggy and Longstaff, how much do you think we could fetch in combined? I mean, it's difficult to add up stuff like that. So it really is. I mean, wages and stuff like that are, going to play a part as well. But switching it round a little bit, do you think those players will leave, Mitch? Your feelings, your opinion? Do you think that I got a feeling that Eddie Howe won't want to change the dressing room chemistry too much this January with the way things are going?
I don't think he'll want too much churn. It's interesting, all those players would reflect on book value in different ways. Hayden's coming to the end of a contract, but he would free up a significant amount of wages. Miggy's coming to the end of his contract and frees up wages too. Longstaff carries bigger book value because he's homegrown, and so everything goes into the pot rather than just percentages and amortising down what the remaining value is. Dubravka's coming to the end of his contract, so would get sort of peppercorn money for him, really. Target's problem is he's sitting on a very big weekly wage. And so persuading him to move out, I think, would be very, very difficult. And to be honest with you, it's not just about getting how much we might get in. It is about the PSR juggle with terms of wages and percentage of wages and what wages can we free up. I think that to me is probably more significant than anything else. A certain amount of income, yes, we can reflect that by spreading it across contracts and bringing down the PSR hit on a transfer. But shipping too many of them out creates a big squad churn, and you're absolutely right. I don't think Eddie would want that from the way the squad are reacting at the moment.
George, thoughts on the transfer window opening up and those players? I mean, the question was how much could we get for them, but I mean, I just don't think he wants too much upset in this transfer window, especially with the way things are going. George.
There's a balance to be had, isn't there? Eddie's got to find 11 players plus substitutes for the rest of the season. He gets rid of too many of those. His substitutes bench is going to look very thin again, and that we've already fallen foul of that. So he's got a very delicate balancing act to do. The obvious ones for me are Target, but he's hit the nail on the head that the guys paid big money. He was paid big money to come from Villa to Newcastle. I've got to say, when he's played, he hasn't let us down. He didn't let us down yesterday. Miggy's time. Miggy's such a happy character. I don't think Eddie would mind if he hung on. But on the other hand, again, I don't know what his salary is, but in terms of getting something in, and I'm seeing quotes in the papers of up to 20 million for him going to Saudi and things like that. Well, if that was realistic, I think they'd have to take a serious look at it. But I think the big thing in the equation is, and Eddie keeps telling me, don't expect much in January. Well, I think we're not going to expect much. By the same token, we shouldn't be expecting much to go out either, because he doesn't want a paper-thin squad again for us to fall foul of not having 11 fit players on the pitch, 11 good players on the pitch, and another 3 or 4 good ones sitting on the bench. It's great that Botman's coming back. It's great to see young Miley back again, and there'll be others maybe filtering through. But I don't think he can. I don't think he can bank on that to keep his squad fresh for the rest of the year. So it's a very delicate balancing act. I think some of them could go, but I'd want to be very careful of how and which positions they went, because, as I say, we've had a period of time when 5 goalkeepers on the bench is not very clever. And if he's got players who can do a job, and Miggy can still do a job, there are those who still get nervous about his pace. And as I say, Target didn't let us down yesterday, and he could still do a job. So a very delicate balancing act. As to what we'd get, well, all the names there. If we could get if we get anything over 10 million for most of them, I'd be snapping people's hands off.
Lots of comments coming in, as always. Thanks to everybody in the chat. 750 of you watching live. If you're watching on Twitter, get yourself onto YouTube, search for NUFC Matters and subscribe. We still do 7 shows a week. Okay, as we are doing a slightly shorter show tonight, we will still have time to fit in a few of these. I just want to start with this, to be honest. Somebody sent me this on Twitter, and somebody's got a little notebook, George, which they found in a loft. I think it was somebody's granddad who had kept together a little cuttings book of Newcastle matches that they'd actually gone to, and it had started in 1956-57. Now, we did those with the days going back to the 50s, but he basically he just shared a few of these, but it's like little team sheets there. You can see Mitchell there, you can see Robledo, Reynolds. It's an amazing little. I mean, just
Absolutely.
going through that book. There's Milburn on the top right there, on the right hand side. Vic Keeble, Mitchell, Davies, Curry, Chamberlain, Haynes, Lawler. Brilliant stuff though. Anything like that's fantastic. And he used to keep little notes in there as well. Goal scorers for season 95-96. Keeble hit 30. Milburn hit 21. Mitchell hit 6. White hit 7. Curry 9. Davies 9. Bob Stoko 1 in the cup. 1+1 in the cup. Sorry. Tate, Monkhouse, Patterson, Crowe, Schooler. 85 goals. +1. I can't read the last bit less, but that's fantastic. Great stuff. I love anything like that.
That little book sends the hairs on the back of my neck on end, because some of those players I've actually played with.
Yeah.
Alec Tate was not just my football coach, he was my school teacher, taught me maths and English and PE, and I became a great friend of Alex, and I owe him a great debt. I know he's long dead, but when my knee was bad, he actually did everything in his power to try and get my knee fixed. He even take me down to the club that he was managing in those days, which was Burton Albion, and which he paid for, and all the rest of it. 56 was the year, that particular year, 56-57, I signed my official schoolboy stroke football league form for Newcastle United, which is still in my own scrapbook, because the year before I had just signed my schoolboy form and went up to Newcastle. And how did I play with some of them? Well, in those days we had the first team, Central League team. We had an A team in the Northern Alliance and a B team in the Northern Combination, the Ends in the Northern Intermediate League, and the Newcastle Juniors and Newcastle and District Junior League. And as a schoolboy, to get into any of those teams was a great joy, and I did once or twice. And how I got to play along with Mr. Tate, and he used to tell us off if I called him Mr. Tate when we were playing together. It had to be Alec. If first team players were coming back from injury, they used to give them a run out in the A team or the B team. And I fortunately got a chance to play in both those teams a couple of times when there was players like Alec Tate and others coming back to play in the first team. And I think that season as well, 56, yeah, I think that's the season that Alec Tate got a hat-trick against the Mackhams.
Okay,
Or the
well,
season-
apparently it's, according to Alan McKenzie, it's Vic Keeble's diary. So there we go. That's where it's
Oh,
come from.
wow.
It's actually
That-
Vic Keeble's, which is fantastic.
That's well, very precious, I've got to say. But I hope you didn't mind me, going on about that. But
No, of course not. That's why I put it on first. John Melrose says the notebook's amazing. George's ability to bring to life is tremendous too. Thank you, John. Very good.
and I've got to say that we're talking about headers before.
Yeah.
There weren't many better than Vic Keeble. In fact, the Gallagher corner used to say, if we got a penalty, let Vic take it with his head.
Anyway, back to the tweets you're used to. I got a Stone Island jacket for Christmas. There's a picture of it.
Brilliant.
Fantastic. And a few signs. Please do not poop in the rocks. We can't believe we had to make this sign. One of Jimmy's there from the good old US of A. And speed camera, honesty box. Speeding drivers are required to stop, photograph themselves and leave a fine in the box. It's a very small box. No wonder. This one from Gary. Do not eat aluminium or you'll sheet metal.
Oh. Dear me.
And another one from Gary, new adult Lunchables at Aldi. Yes, I can see why it's adult as well. Thank you for that, Gary. If your girl looks like this, she's a keeper.
Oh.
A beekeeper,
Well,
obviously. And I nearly didn't post this as it's offensive.
oh, offensive. Oh, dear. Offensive to his sense of humour and all. God, bloody hell.
It is. And not the best name for a pensioners complex, George. St. Peter's Close. And festively, a good one. What's the matter, baby? You've not even touched your Greg's Benedict. I bet you there's loads of people going to try that now, Greg's Benedict.
Yeah, Greg's Benedict. Yeah.
And Des likes to send the singing one for me. He says, if you see me walking down the street and start to cry each time we meet, walk on by. Do, 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 do. Soda Pop Kid, he says, tweet of the week. Honey, can you take the chicken out of the fridge and let it rest for 40 minutes with some onion, pepper and beer? I'll be home in less than an hour. I'll take care of it. Thanks, you're the best. And the picture at the bottom, very good. I think we've seen that one before, but it seemed rather festive, so I thought I would put it out. Melly Barnes is having a bit of a joke to himself on X this week as well. I kind of retweeted it for him. Let's fast forward 6 months. Casemiro leaves. This guy, Tonali, alongside Ugarte. What a pairing. He wants out of Newcastle. Bring him to Manchester. I predict he's going to be one of the best players in the world fairly soon. The new Rodri, if we can keep him on the straight and narrow. Brilliant, Melly. Good to see you.
Send Melly a bottle of aspirin, will you, Steve? He needs something.
And some mouse traps. Travelodge, due to past events, please do not pleasure yourself in rooms. Management at the Travelodge.
Goodness gracious.
And hey, John, I've been so horny since we last spoke. I've never felt like this after meeting a guy. Sorry, who is this? I'm glad your phone's working. It's Steve, your plumber. I've sent you multiple overdue invoices, final notices, and called numerous times now. Please pay the invoice before I take legal action. Excellent. And this one from Jimmy Moore. This Sesame Street Muppet will become the first to experience homelessness. Henry then replied, Oscar the Grouch has been living in a trash can for 49 years. Ian, thanks for this. From my house to yours, he says, Merry Christmas to you all. The boys of the NYPD choir were singing Galway Bay, and the bells are ringing out for Christmas Day.
Love it.
Last few, a Nintendo Switch, Christmas ruined. And stop in Sunderland. You said it'll be fine, you said. Rudolph. Thank you for that one, David Cook. And he's not having a very good time, is he, this bloke? Missed penalty.
Oh, yeah. Goodness.
And this bloke's not having a good time either. Please take me back, Sporting.
£4,000 a night, his hotel bill.
Wow, well, but he's
But
glad
a club was supposed to be hard up.
I bet he's glad he's not bought a house. The winner this week was Tim Kroll. Never thought I'd be saying that. Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you for Mark's. Thank you, Mark Slavin, for sending that. Good stuff. Don't forget, if you have got a tweet of the week, then you can send it to me at Steve Wraith. Email nufcmatters1892@gmail.com or go to the Facebook group or the Facebook page and you can join or like that and send over your tweets of the week. Okay, time to look ahead to the Manchester United game, and as always, Scunny Mag tells you where you can go and how to get there.
Hi folks, Scunny Mag Paul here with another away day guide. This one's for Old Trafford. Anyone heading down to see the Tyne take on this lot, it's coming up. So Old Trafford. For those coming in by train, Manchester Piccadilly is the main station in Manchester. You've also got Oxford Road, but Deansgate is your handy one to swap over onto the trams. If you are coming into Piccadilly, the trams are your easiest option. But the closest tram station to the away end is Wharfside. Now that's only served by the red tram line, and that starts its route out of the city at Deansgate. So if you make your way to Deansgate, that's the handiest for the away end. Other options close to the ground, you have the Old Trafford tram stop on the purple and green lines, which is actually the Old Trafford cricket ground, not the football ground. You've still got a 10-minute or so walk from there. And then the stop before that is Trafford Bar, which might be a little bit handier. If you're driving in, there's plenty of parking around Old Trafford. I have found parking on the Salford Quay, the other side of the dock. If you're looking to stay over, there's loads of hotels in the city, or the nearest one at the ground is a Premier Inn. Exists Turkey Paying will get you to the front entrance. Moving on to pubs. For those coming in by train, there's loads and loads of pubs in the city centre. There are some specifically set up for visiting supporters, but the first one you'll find really easily is come out of the train station, turn right, head down the street, it's on your right. That's the Piccadilly Tavern, and Social Curiosity Rewarding will get you to the front of that one. It's big, they have tons of stuff on a match day, and it's always lively, and pretty much an away fan pub. If you're going in on the trams, getting off at the Trafford Bar tram stop, there is a pub called the Tollgate right next to it. Urban Dreams Casual will get you into the car park at the front. That's big. They set up the car park on a match day for outside drinking. Again, plenty of staff, quick turnaround at the bar. This one is mixed, but they do allow both sets of fans. So when you are ready to head up to the stadium, if you're coming from the Wharfside tram stop, you're going to be coming into the back of the east stand, carrying to the other end. And if you're coming in from the Trafford Bar tram stop or the Tollgate pub, you'll need to sort of work your way across pedestrian crossings and get towards Old Trafford. Some of them will take you back to Salford Quays, but if you keep going towards the left and keep the ground sort of in front of you and slightly to the right, that should keep you on the right track. Visiting turnstiles can be found at Proper Sticky Mint, and once you're inside, concourses, they're adequate, they do the job. I wouldn't highly recommend going and spending a couple of hours in there drinking before the game, but if you are stuck with no other option, it's workable. That's it from me. Let's batter these, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.
Thank you, Scunny Mag, for everything you do. And no, Toonstato, he's having a little break with his family today. So I will do the usual Newcastle round off 2024 at Old Trafford on Monday, December the 30th. It's an 8 o'clock start in the Premier League and it is live on Sky Sports. All 3,000 away tickets have been sold. Team news. Tino Livramento might return after missing the home match over Aston Villa with an illness. Nick Pope, Callum Wilson, Jamal Lascelles are out. Emil Kraft and Sven Botman are closing in on comebacks. Kieran Trippier, we'll wait and see whether he has aggravated any particular injury, but maybe it was just cramp and that's what he went off for. But we'll find out a little bit more, I'm sure, from Eddie Howe at his press conference. As for Manchester United, well, the Red Devils are set to be without Bruno Fernandes after he was shown 2 yellow cards after his side's 2-0 loss at Wolves yesterday. Manuel Ugarte, meanwhile, will serve another one-match ban after his 5th Premier League booking of the season at Molineux. That result means that Ruben Almiron's side have lost 4 of their last 5 Premier League fixtures, and they are in 14th position in the table. Referee is Simon Hooper. It's his 3rd posting this season involving Newcastle United, following the 2-1 defeat at Chelsea and the 2-4 reverse at Brentford. So a bit of an unlucky referee, Simon Hooper, for Newcastle. VAR is Paul Tierney. And yeah, it's this is a huge game. And of course, we've only beaten them in the Premier League in 2013. You've got to go back to 1972 for Newcastle to win a game at Old Trafford. But this has got a different feeling about it going into this one for me. I predicted 4-0 against Villa. I'm going to go 3-0 against Manchester United. I think Newcastle will take the game to Manchester United, and I think we'll come out on top. I don't see anything other than that. I think Newcastle are really on a run. Eddie Howe always has one or two really good runs like this, and I think if Newcastle can get an early goal, like they have in the last couple of games, I think there could be a big result down at Old Trafford. I don't see Manchester United being able to cope with what we've got. So I am going to go for a very confident 3-0 win against Manchester United. I never thought I would say that, but I don't fear Manchester United at all. Not in the current climate, and not with all of our A-game players all being at the top of their game. I think Gordon, Isak in particular, Tonali will be relishing the chance of playing at Old Trafford. I really think it'll be good. Thank you, Jody Toomperlife. No press conference. He had it straight after the Villa game, which is embargoed. Okay, thank you. I thought that was the case. So, Mitch, I've gone for a very confident 3-0 win. What about you, Mitch, and what about the dice?
I've said this before, but I think this time it feels a little different. We'll not have a better opportunity to put Man United to the sword in front of their own fans. We haven't had this good an opportunity for a while, and another one might not come along for a while. They're a club in disarray, and they're kind of the kind of side and fan base at the minute who are toxic. Yeah. And if we can get on top of them early, they'll turn, and we can make that ground a very miserable place for them again. Even more miserable when they've got dead rats around their feet and mice in the food and beverage areas and things like that. You know, it's a measure of about what's going on there, and it's a really unhappy ship. The players don't seem like they're playing for the club or for each other. They've had that dead cat bounce off the manager, and that's stalled rather quickly. So we've got nothing to fear. It's the one thing we've done when we've gone to Man United in the past far too often is shown them too much respect. I would like to take us at our shithousing best, go there, ruffle their feathers, wind them up, and get at them. And I think if we can get one early, they won't come back from it. I don't think they've got that in them.
Okay, have you got the dice?
I have. The dice says a fantastic 0-0.
0-0. What do you reckon? A shellacking? A win?
No, I think 2-1 to us.
2-1. Okay. What about you, George?
Oh, I use that word a lot, and people pull me leg about it. But as Neil said, this is the opportunity. They're in such a mess. I mean, they were desperate to get somebody else in to bring more money in and do this and do that. Well, what he's done is he's turned the club upside down. Dressing rooms in disarray, back rooms in disarray. Even the tea ladies are getting sacked. I mean, I read somewhere on one of their podcasts, he's got rid of nearly 300 people off their staff, from the bottom of receptionists all the way up to medical people and people in the boot room, that sort of thing. Now, people, if you've ever played football and that level, and you know what the things that go on in the boot room are, if he's upset that, Mr. Ratcliffe's upset that balance, then they have got a big problem. So, and what he's, you know, how they're coping with Rashford at the moment is
Rashford.
yeah, Rashford. It's just despicable. And so, yeah, when you're looking for takeover, you've got to be careful what you wish for. And of course, he doesn't own anything other than 23% of the shares. The Americans still own the rest. And if they make any money, they're going to take the money. He's not going to get much of it, but never mind. So that's their troubles. It's our biggest opportunity for a while. And I would like to see a shellacking as much as 5-0.
It would be wonderful, wouldn't it? It would be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, that song which goes something like, they're here, they're there, they're everywhere, empty seats, I think should be changed for the Manchester United game. They're here, they're every effing where, rats and mice.
Yeah.
That would be a good one for the lads to sing. Pass it on. Might catch on that. I know there'll be a few of you in the chat who are going to Old Trafford to pass that on. Okay, that is the last Amigos for 2024. We will be back a week on Friday for the next one. There will be a fans forum on Monday night ahead of the Manchester United game, so that'll be the next live show. Tomorrow, you've got a double header. We've got an evening with Rob Lee at Gateshead Leisure Centre. Both halves are going up tomorrow. 6 till 7, and then 7:30 till 8:30. And then on Sunday, you got a nice one on Sunday night. Half an hour interview with Mark Hoddiger about his time at Newcastle United for the Entertainers book. So that goes out Monday. As I say, we'll be live with the fans forum. And then next week, a little bit more time off for me, sees a few more of those entertainers interviews, including Liam O'Brien on Tuesday, Darren Peacock on Wednesday, Philip Albert on Thursday, and then, as I say, Friday, we will be back with the next Amigos. So for those of you who won't be tuned in on Monday, enjoy the match on Monday night and enjoy your new year. Happy New Year. Thank you for being part of the NUFC Matters
Thank
family.
you.
And a big thank you to Mitch and George for curtailing their time together to spend 90 minutes with you guys. It's been much appreciated from me, as I know it has from the chat, lads. And I just want to wish you both a very happy new year, and look forward to seeing you both in 2025, lads.
Well,
I'm sure you want to say something as well.
Flights being on time, I shall see you all on Monday night. I can't thank you all enough for watching the shows and how kind you are when you come and talk to me when I'm at the game and in the Irish Centre and at the food bank. It does mean an awful lot when people say thank you. And if you have any evidence how powerful NUFC Matters is, yes, it was Dubai Mags yesterday and it was great. But the fact is, NUFC Matters got talked about just as much as anything else. And that really was nice. You know, people seeing what they watch and where they're from. People wanting to come and tell me that they lived in High Farm where I was born. You know, it really, really was nice. So thank you to you all. And I wish you all the very best that love and kindness can bring you all for the next year, and look forward to working with you all in the next year as well, with Steve and all the lads.
Mitch, anything you want to say to the viewers?
What else can I say other than a big thank you to everybody for the continued support and love that we get everywhere. We've built a community that is second to none, and it adds to the pride of supporting Newcastle United worldwide, that we share a platform that allows us to express our opinions, but also allows people to bring their opinions to us, and it makes that's what makes football, and what a powerful worldwide community Newcastle United's grown at a time when we very much need to flex that, and let's see where we're going the next year.
Great stuff.
Sorry, Steve, can I just one more second, please? I noticed on the chat somebody talked about Bobby Cowell, the fullback.
Yeah.
People need to remember that Bobby Cowell got three FA Cup winners' medals, and his dear wife Elsie used to wear one of them as a necklace until she passed away. Lived in Blythe until she was quite old, but very bright, and wore one of those medals for years and years and years. So that's just to add to the story that was on the chat.
Fantastic. Have a good New Year, everybody. See you on Monday night, though, for those of you who will be tuned in at the Fans Forum. Have a good weekend. Take care. Don't let the football spoil it. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Steve. Night, everybody.